with the continuous improved activities of nuclear medicine in Korea, it's not surprising that the Society of Nuclear Medicine and Molecular Imaging select Korea as a highlight member in this particular year. So I am very proud of that. After I graduated medical school, I was in graduate school to study preventive medicine. And then I was drafted to go to Vietnam as an officer, Army officer of preventive medicine. And I worked with many medical officers from 16 different countries, and they stimulate to study in the United States. So I went to the United States in 1969 to study about preventive medicine. And then I become quite interested in radiology because I'm more likely a painter. So when I look at all structures inside our body, I was so fascinated. At the time I had residency, we had diagnosis and also radiation oncology training together. So I became interested in cancer. So after I trained in radiology, and I decided to study nuclear medicine because the nuclear medicine was officially formed as a new specialty in 1973. So I went to Washington University to study nuclear medicine, and I was luckily exposed to first positron emission tomography at the Washington University. So then I moved to several different academic institutions to study about immunology, but all this multiple specialty training have helped me to continuously work on more curious nuclear medicine. I decided to study nuclear medicine in 1973 because of a new specialty. I've been always curious to learn about new things from my young age. And after I learned about cancer during my radiation oncology training, it became so interesting in finding why certain cancer therapy works in certain specific patients. Not many patients seem to have a beneficial from conventional chemotherapy, etc. So nuclear medicine is a perfect specialty to study about a mechanistic reason of cancer, maybe therapy in general. Merle Locum, who was a professor at the University of Minnesota, stimulated me to study nuclear medicine at the time. And then I joined Frank DeLand, who was the editor of Journal of Nuclear Medicine, and he gave me an opportunity to study about radioimmunology with Dr. David Goldenberg, who was a world-renowned immunologist. And then when I was in the University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Center, I worked with Tom Haney, who was the chairman of internal medicine and also nuclear medicine chief. Those are my respected professional friends and also respected people. So I joined David Goldenberg, who was a very famous immunologist at that time. So I gave him idea to label that protein we made from colon cancer. So I named the radioimmunodetection and also radioimmunotherapy. We were the first group to treat colon cancer with internal radiation. Now we call that kind of approach is theranostic approach. So we made lots of papers about that, and that helped me to be invited by the University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Center. And also, I was the luckily first student of learning positron emission tomography with Dr. Topogosian, who was a physicist at the Washington University. And then also, I was the first to evaluate MRI in Texas because I was associate editor of radiology, and I was the first reviewer of the paper of nuclear magnetic spectroscopic study from Scotland. So I didn't know anything about that, so I studied with several chemists. I became interested in MRI. So I was the first organizer of International Society of Magnetic Resonance Imaging in Houston, Texas. So those are three: radioimmuno detection and therapy, and PET and MRI, my first sort of pioneering works in my whole life. Nuclear medicine has been challenged by radiology. There is a specialty for imaging. When I studied nuclear medicine, we spent more time in radioimmunoassay or study about hormones, some kind of in vitro studies, in addition to in vivo, certain limited imagings. But after we become more interested in imaging, obviously radiologists challenge or sharing imaging diagnosis in general. But fundamentally, we are brothers or sisters. We are basically dealing with functional and metabolic imaging, but the radiologists are dealing with more morphological studies, combining two together with certain hybrid technique nowadays, SPECT-CT, PET-CT, and maybe PET MRI. We are supposed to work together to help patients diagnosis and therapy. But because of economic reason, we are continuously challenging each other. But I do have a bright future in nuclear medicine in my thought, because we are now focusing more like a theranostic approach. We are the only specialty we can biologically evaluate process of various diseases in our body system. And therefore, no other can challenge this kind of approach. So I do think we have a better future. Without dream, without certain specific object, no one can achieve anything. Therefore, I suggest to have at least some kind of dream to be better than others. To achieve that dream, we must have a continuous hard work. Nothing is easier to achieve a certain specific goal. And that's achieve a certain dream goal. You have to work hard, but also you have to meet certain good advisor or teacher. If you seek help, you may have a lot more chance. I've noticed that many are not asking certain help. You have to ask needed things. I want all young people to enjoy learning something. To do that, you have to read a lot of books, and also you have to learn something in the either music or painting or sports, some kind of things you can enjoy later, even after retirement, continuously. And those are very, very important. Many physicians just to work, to study, and later, after they retire, they have a hard time to enjoy their rest of life. So that's very, very important in my view.